think we're good now.
Oh, we're good. I don't know what, I have no idea. Sorry, guys, that happened. I don't know what that was.
Oh, that's all right. It was interesting.
That was interesting. I don't know. But it's just us now.
All right, so we're at about 27. It is after 10, 2 minutes after, so I'm going to kind of introduce Charlie, a little bit about Charlie. I met Charlie quite a while back, but the interesting thing is, when was it, Charlie? It was like July of 2016.
I believe so. That's when I sold my
listed and sold your house
in Pendleton. Yep, Indiana. Yep.
And then from that point, you went to Florida. So when you went to Florida, did you have any sales or real estate background?
No, none whatsoever. The only kind of background I related to real estate would probably be house flipping and rehabs. And that was with you, actually.
But no sales, really no sales experience. So the interesting thing, the reason I bring this up is Charlie relocated from Pendleton, Indiana to Orlando, Florida, knowing, if I remember correctly, your dad, fiance, her dad went with you. You had one aunt in Leesburg.
That's right.
And that was it. You wouldn't have recognized anybody else in the entire state.
Right. No, I had no friends or acquaintances, just one aunt. She was 81. She's 82 now, I think. And I didn't even know that there were other towns outside of Orlando either. I came to Florida when I was like 6 or 7 years old, which you don't remember roads or, no, I knew nothing about Florida, period.
So what we really wanted to share is his journey from probably 2017 to this year. Charlie has probably used the IMS better than any agent nationwide. So having said that, built you up to that level. Don't let me down, Charlie.
Yeah. Nah.
No, I mean, yeah, just kind of show us the system that you built down there, and, just give us your, take about 10 or 15 minutes and just show us how you built that real estate foundation over the last 4 years and what it's done for you and your family.
Sure, no problem, no problem. Thank you for having me, actually. It's always an honor to be able to share working here at Easy Street Realty. I feel very blessed. I've never worked at any other real estate office or brokerage before, so I'm somewhat of a fish in a fish tank. So I live and abide by the IMS. That's the only thing that I use to run my business, and that's even still to this day. So what I did was put together just a quick short slideshow that just really highlights the points that keeps my business going. In the first year and a half, I would say I relentlessly made phone calls, reached out to to leads, clients, prospects. And actually, I was telling Jeff a little bit earlier, the last year and a half, close to 2 years, I can't really take leads anymore. I can, but we all have certain comfort levels on how busy we actually want to be. And I pretty much reached that plateau where, because of all the calls and contacts that I've made through my career, it's established from the IMS my business today. So I'm going to go ahead and attempt to share my screen. I hope this works with everybody here. Let me see something here. Let me get this fired up. Let me see, get this down here, pop this open here, and then from beginning, and let me see here. Real quick, just let me, trying to get this to where I could share my screen here. Sorry about that. Give me one moment. Let's see here. Perfect. Okay, let me get this control away here, hide floating meeting controls. I'm actually going to take you guys away too, to not see you guys, so I can see what I'm looking at. Okay, so do you see my screen here?
We got it.
Perfect. I'm going to keep reminding myself not to go too fast. I have a habit of doing that. At any time, anybody on this video, on this call, or Jeff, feel free to stop me if you have questions about it or something prompted something that you want to bring up. But I put this together just as a quick snapshot. I don't know how many people saw my first video. That was kind of, real quick and not all that rehearsed. I tried to do a little bit more here just to explain what keeps my business going using the IMS. So we'll get started here. So I notice in real estate, everybody has their own way that they run their business. Door knocking, mail flyers, they do open houses, they do Facebook, they do Instagram, they buy leads from Zillow, Trulia, Opcity, Redfin, whatever that might be. They just work a sphere of their friends and family. Some could be a la carte, all of these, one of these. But for me, I mean, like I mentioned, I just, I use just the IMS, but I just want to be straight that I don't down any of that. I think when you're first starting out, those are all effective strategies. As long as whatever you're doing, Facebook, Instagram, etc., as long as you're consistent with it, just with anything, our human brains work that way. We get good at it. We get comfortable with it. So, like I mentioned, the IMS is the only platform that I use. Mostly, like I said, I'm kind of a fish in a fish tank here, so I use it just because it's very easy to keep track of my leads. My leads. And I like that it's done from the comfort of my home or anywhere on the go. I'm sure other programs have that as well too. I'm not a huge Facebook, Instagram guy. When MySpace was popular, I was when I was younger, but that was just like with friends and almost kind of like a little dating thing. But since then, I haven't really used any social media. I especially like that it doesn't cost me any money at all. Actually, I was just thinking the other day, I've used one electronic lockbox for all the listings that I have. When I had to buy a second one, I was like, damn it, because I really try to keep my actual cost down. I could sustain to do a little more marketing, a little more branding. We all can, but like I said, I primarily use the IMS, and I'm still riding that wave today. And then most but not least, I'm home 85 to 90% of the year, which I like. So that's why I don't really take leads anymore, because that number would be 50 to 75. So to me,
Charlie,
yeah, go ahead.
I did have a question.
Sure.
How much do you use the mobile version of the IMS, or are you usually at your computer?
No, I'm actually at my computer a lot less. So I would say mobile's probably 80%, and at the computer's 20%, because as you know, the mobile software it's not as intricate. Like, you can't look at gateways, make adjustments to that. So I use the mobile just as more of a quick communication way of talking to leads and clients, because that's just how it comes up.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. What I learned really quick, which I didn't know initially, was you really got to have a toolbox of different skills. I kind of displayed this here. You need to have most of all of these to be able to take leads, because as we all know, if you're going to work just the IMS, 99% of it is the phone. You got to really have your bag of tools to be able to handle that while you're talking on the phone, and it just doesn't come naturally. I've seen seasoned agents that were in the business for 25 years start using our system, and they don't really know or what to say on the phone. That's okay. But like I said, consistency will get you there. So one thing that the IMS really, it got me to a point. I do 20 or more closings a year. It keeps growing my pipeline, and because it works really well, keep in touch with my leads. Now, as I mentioned, and I tell this to agents all the time, if the IMS is used the way that it's supposed to be used, it will produce. It does produce, but consistency and tenacity are required. You have to keep up on it. I see agents, sometimes in 6 months to a year, they really lose the momentum. They get discouraged because they're not really seeing a lot happening from that. And it's all in the details, in my opinion, which we'll cover a little bit through this slide. Now, I hear a lot of times too, right off the bat, that these leads are no good, that they're not good. In my opinion, and I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way, there's no leads that are that great to begin with. It's really about, there's really three areas that are going to drive someone to buy, or to make a purchase. And that's necessity, cost, and most importantly is you. To me, we're the ones that get on the phone with people, and just think on the other side, no one's a phone master. We're the ones that open up the path when we're having a conversation. I mean, because we can really come across as telemarketers, which we're not. We're state licensed real estate agents. So when people tell me that the leads are not good, now I do agree that some leads just aren't ready right now, which is totally fine. But I think a lot is behind who's calling the leads and who's talking to the leads. So, I mean, the root of it to start out is what I do when I start talking to people, or when I give a call. I really, because in the beginning I was so quick to say, okay, hey, what size house are you looking for? How many bedrooms you need? Do you want a pool? Do you want a gated community? And that doesn't really, they could do all that online. That doesn't really build a good bond with people. What builds a bond is to talk about them a little bit. And like a huge question that I get from a lot of agents is like, when you call a lead, what do you first say? Now, this is a real popular one for me. It's not in any specific order, not said any specific way, but I mean, simply put, I want to share this because that's a real big thing for people, their first opening line. I've heard it all. Hello, is this John? Hello, this is Charlie with Easy Street Realty. There's really a whole bunch of different ways to answer the phone, but there's definitely productive ways to get a conversation going. And I never really mentioned that I'm with a real estate office. Even when I leave voicemails, I'll say something like, hey, this is Charlie in Orlando, Florida. I got a quick question for you. Give me a call when you get a chance. I don't say where I'm from or what my really objective is, why I'm calling. I'm trying to get them, I'm trying to, you know, it's like throwing out a fishing line. You want on the hook and you reel it in. So this is a real popular one that I use, especially when I accept the lead opportunity. I say hi or hello. This is Charlie in Orlando, Florida. The reason why I'm calling is because I noticed you visited our website and looked at a few homes in the area. And then I'll be quiet for a second. And then I say, I just wanted to see if you like to schedule an appointment to see a home, or if you might have questions about a home that you saw. And then I'm usually quiet at that point to see what they say. Now, a lot of times they're like, oh, no, we're not interested. We're just looking. I mean, you really get it all. And then right at that very moment, that's a pivotal point on where that conversation is going to go. You could easily just say, oh, sorry about that. Okay, no problem. Hang up the phone. But that's just a reaction from most people. So like in conjunction to combat that, I usually try to stay on the phone. It's kind of a challenge I put myself to for 4+ minutes, 4 or more minutes. And just note that it's literally impossible for some people to stay on the phone for 4+ minutes. There's all these different personality traits. There's I mean, you know, people say they're in meetings, they don't, you know, but once you could start getting a conversation going, like that earlier slide, focus a lot on them, like what brought you to the website, why are you considering a move? Hey, let me ask you, are you actually in the area now, or, you know, kind of find out. I usually talk about dogs or cats, or if they mention somewhere, you know, are you from Florida or have you lived in another state? I usually try to catch on to that. Like if anybody says they're from the Northeast, because I'm from Pennsylvania, if they mention that they're from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and the surrounding states, I usually latch on to that, because once you can get some commonality there. I've just noticed that gripping your audience works. It works better to build commonality. So another real common one is a lot of people say we're not ready yet, or we're not interested. I put this one in here because I do this not only verbally, I do it in emails, and I also do it in text messages, which I found I had great success, because a lot of times people are not ready right now, especially with the biggest purchase of their lives. I understand that. Really, like it's probably like 2% of people are like, you know, I want to put an offer in today, or we've been looking for a while, especially if they've been with another agent or been smacked around a little bit. It's a small percentage of people that are ready, but this is one that I use a lot, because a lot of leads, a lot of buyers and sellers think that if they get a listing from an agent, that's their listing, and that's not true. We all broadcast and advertise all the listings that are put into the MLS. So once they do understand that, I can't tell you how many times through email, phone call, and text messages where they're sending me screenshots of properties they saw on different sites, all across the board. So just putting that out there, I really take a no pressure approach. And people appreciate that, because if you could have that one good conversation with somebody, it goes a long way. And I didn't realize that in my first 5,000 to 8,000 phone calls, I was just all about, hey, let me get you set up. Let me get you, all about trying to provide a service. And while I was doing that, they had no idea who I was. I mean, they can hear in my voice that, I might have a lot of energy, a lot of initiative, but I haven't really grew a bond with them, which is a problem. Really coupled with that, I really started implementing the 5-3 rule. And what that means is, I myself have done it. I see a lot of agents just in the business in general, they only call once, send a text message or send an email, and never really make attempts again. If you really, really want to increase your conversion right off the bat, you'll follow the 5-3 rule. And I kind of listed there, and this is mostly for lead opportunities. I kind of listed there how you can get in the first actually 2 days to 3 days to get 5 phone calls out to them. It's a lot better than 1, I'll tell you that. I don't know if anybody here has ever reached out to Zillow. If you so much just call them and have a quick conversation, but you don't connect, or they saw that you emailed them, they kind of have this same rule in place where I don't know if it's happened to your guys' phone before, but it happened to me. They'll call like every other day until they actually get me. They'll send emails. They're relentless, but that's what you want to do. You want to try to get them on the phone. No one out of the almost 17,000 phone calls that I made, maybe there's a handful of 5 to 6 people that got annoyed that I kept calling. Now that's if you exceed 4, 5, 6, 7 calls in the same day. That will easily have someone call you back and say, who is this? But when you first bring in the lead, when you accept the lead opportunity, the first call is already done. Your phone's going to ring, you make the call, and then you're going to get a 15-minute reminder to make another call. That's number 2. And then you'll set a reminder. I usually do it probably like after 6 o'clock. And then I will make another call. So there's 3 already. There's 3 calls, not just 1, 3 in the first day. Then the second day, probably around 10 to 12, I'll do another call. And then after that, if I still don't get them, I will do a 5th call, like the next day or the next morning. And I try to do it in the evening time too, because your rate is much higher that you get somebody on the phone after 6 o'clock. Then after the 5th call, I do still keep in touch. I make sure their gateway set up, and I make sure everything's a system to go. And then I'll follow up on, I'll make a couple calls and ask them if they have any questions on the homes I've been sending. I kind of just state the service that I've been doing subliminally. And what this creates is I have many, many, many leads in my database that are going to use me as a realtor, and I just don't know it yet, just because of all the attempts that I made with that person. And as you guys all know, the speed the leads are pretty new here. I have found them to be pretty fabulous, actually. The conversion rate happens to be really good. Of course, you get people wanting to rent and so on and so forth, but
hey, Charlie?
yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. I want to back up a step, because you just said something I think is very powerful. You've got people in your system that are going to buy or sell a house with you, and you don't even know.
That's right.
How long did it take you to get to that realization? Can you drill down on that a little bit, that mindset?
Yeah, I guess I really started realizing that probably after my couple thousand phone calls, because what I would do is, in conjunction with reaching out to my leads, is I would go into their IMS profile and set up a gateway search, which I have a few slides on that as well. And then you could actually see behind the scenes that you're building an audience. What made me realize that is when, from the voicemails, from the emails, the text messages, what made me realize that is when leads were connecting with me out of the blue, probably 8 out of 10 of them have mentioned receiving my emails, my text messages, and or my voicemails. So it's kind of like a subliminal psychological thing where I've reached out so many times, because I mean, after all, somebody wants, I would think a buyer or seller would want somebody that's not only consistent, but persistent as well. So that's kind of when I started realizing that, like, hey, all this effort that I've been doing in my database and the constant contacts really do start to pay off. Does that answer the
Awesome.
question okay for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. I
Okay,
appreciate
okay,
that.
yeah, but yeah, just to cobble up, this is super important because that's what's going to keep me like put your first stamp on there. And I'm even looking for no's too, because I'm going to keep working this lead for years on end. And I'd rather someone tell me they're working with a realtor, that they're not interested. Of course, I'll peel the onion back a little bit, but just to get a response, that's what I'm focused on. So the speed to lead process happens really quick, and it's very simple when it comes to a speed to lead. And these are the three things you want to focus on when you take a speed to lead. Of course, when it connects, you introduce yourself, you gather information. I see that you're looking at this house, and then you set an appointment. That's how fast those happen. And that's what you want to keep in mind when you do a speed to lead. You just want to get on a phone with the chances that you're going to meet this person in the very near future. Now, what I noticed, and Jeff, we were talking a little bit about this too. You have to try to be the first agent to meet them. Even if they say, I'm not pre-approved, I mean, a lot of agents have reservations, like I'm not wasting my time until they show me a pre-approval letter. I kind of didn't take that road. As long as I had a conversation with somebody and I kind of heard their plans and stuff. I mean, of course, if there's a renter and they're asking if they could use Section 8 vouchers, it's not really too much to be buying a home. So there's indicators along the way. But I started noticing this is I've had great conversations, email, text, and phone calls with people where, they love me. I love them too. And we talk back and forth. But if there's an agent that gets on the phone with them and says, hey, listen, and if I haven't prospect or got in touch with them when they actually come to the area, because as you know, in Florida, a lot of people aren't here, which is an advantage, I think, in the central states, is because people are actually there. So I would definitely strive to set the appointment, because if you don't, there's a huge chance that if somebody else does, they're gone. The relationship's over and they broke up with you. Really, really important here. So a big question that everybody has going through, and I didn't want to get into all the meat and potatoes because we could literally have a meeting for 5-6 hours going through all this. I'm just trying to nail down on the important part. A lot of people are wondering what the difference between a prospect and a client is. And that's a great question, because to me, a prospect is a lead that you've had some kind of contact with, and that could be through a phone conversation, email correspondence, or a text message. In most cases, you have not met this person. You have not met them in person. So the system, as you guys probably know, it identifies when someone responds back or you've had some kind of communication with them, and it labels them a prospect. You don't change that prospect until you've actually formed a client. Now, a client to me, I kind of the brokerage may consider a client a little bit different than what I do, but what I consider a client is a person that I have a closer relationship with, and that could be like your friends or your family or really close acquaintances. If I've met somebody in person, I almost do it like a ritual. After I meet a prospect in person, I come home, I change them to a client, because when you meet them, you have considerably increased your chances of getting closer to get something on paper or doing a deal. And I also have ones where along the way, just because of the conversations, they've assured me that they're going to work with me in the future. Which I feel pretty good about it. Like, no, Charlie, you're the guy, blah, 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 blah. But still, I'm still suspect. I still want to catch them. And I always shoot that email. I mean, I do have a text message that's kind of driven towards, if in the event you do come to town and time permits, I would love to show you a few places while you're here, just to look, no pressure whatsoever, because I'm trying to get them face to face. That's a huge thing, because in the beginning, I thought that I wasted so much time meeting people that couldn't buy, but I really haven't, because if they can't buy right now, that's okay. Sometime in the future, they will be able to buy, because especially if I get them with my lender, we get them on a credit repair, so on and so forth. So that's the difference between a prospect and a client. I focus on these every single day. I still do today. Like I said, I don't really take leads anymore. I don't go in the prospect pool, but I have all my brick and mortar, if you will, already all put together in here. And I do work my hot list. I always check out the hot list. I check out my update requested. Your update requested are all people that you've called clients, which I have 49 active people that I met, I wrote contracts for. Not really too many friends. I don't have too many friends. I guess I have 49 friends in real estate, I guess. And of course, your clients pended and your clients closed. That's kind of like your just little database that you keep up on. But what you want to pay a lot of attention to is the hot list and the update requested, because those are the people that are a little bit more juicier. So, I mean, like I was mentioned, to keep a close eye on your audience and your potential clients, more focusing on these two here. This is your audience here. These are people, these could be clients. These could even be bad phone numbers that are actually looking at the listings that you're sending them. So I really try to focus on the activity behind the scenes, and that's through my hot list, the update requested, and then these two here too. Now you only really get this activity here and this activity. This is update requested. These are all your clients that need an update, so maybe that one shouldn't even be there. But this, and this, what's super important is make sure, like when you do a gateway search, make sure that the gateway is set up and it's actually producing properties, because a lot of times they have a gateway, it shows that it's active, but it's not producing anything. This count will be 0, which is not good, because these people do not know, these leads don't know that you exist until you actually set up a gateway. You won't get any activity on the last 24 hours, or even on your hot list, if you don't have these set up. So, and our system's so fabulous that you can actually look in the back end as well too, to see if they're actually looking at it. I kind of blocked this out here because it's this woman's email. I didn't want to broadcast that, but you can actually see if they're looking at it. Now, I know that some Yahoo, AOL, there's some Canadian emails. It doesn't actually allow you to see on the back end, because I've had many clients that send me a property that I know that it was mine, but I don't see that it's in there. So don't let it fool you. They may not be able to see it, but a lot of times you have a view in the window that they're actually looking. So that helps out too. So I kind of put real quick, we are getting kind of the tail end of this. I did put together some do's and don'ts. This is just so far within since 2017. It's 2020 now that I've been in the business. These are kind of the do's and don'ts while you're navigating through lead prospecting, building your database, so on and so forth. But as far as the do's go, and as they're here displaying here, these are things that if you keep in mind going through your database, taking leads and doing as much as you can, that's to me, that's what's going to amplify your success, especially using the IMS. And then of course I want to couple the don'ts. There are a lot of things, this one here, get discouraged, because when I first started out, I did so much work and I couldn't believe that it wasn't paying off more than what it should. But in due time, it did. So getting discouraged is a real, don't get discouraged. Jeff always said something to me, and he said, Charlie, God won't let you work this hard and not let it pay off. And he was right. So I kind of, for future reference, these are kind of the do's and don'ts for me. Everyone runs their business differently. So there might be more do's that you have or more don'ts that you may have in mind. But these are, the list is much bigger than those two. So with all that being said, I kind of wanted to share, which I do at the end of my slides, just to give you an idea and a snapshot of what does this actually produce. I use, like I said, I only use the IMS, okay? And the IMS only. I know I keep saying that. I really don't stretch out to anywhere else. And actually, I need to get a little bit better about following up with my past clients, because I don't really do that either. I just, do anything that comes organically, like where they tell their friends, aunts, cousins, sisters, uncles about me because they had a good experience. So in 2017, my total sales volume was about 2.5. I did 13 buyer deals. I did 0 listings. The reason why I did 0 listings, I did have listings come across my way. But when I started out in real estate, because as you guys all know, in real estate school, they don't teach you how to not only do sales or negotiate, they don't teach you really how to do a contract. They breeze over it, but they don't. So this first one here, when I showed my first, it was a couple, and they lived in Central Florida, and they were relocating because of his job. And I showed him about, I think, 10, 11, 12 condos until the one he says, oh, my wife likes it. I want to write something. I almost just about crapped my pants. I mean, the whole goal was to write a contract, but I didn't know how to do it. So I went to the listing agent's office and says, hey, his name was Justin, I believe. Hey, Justin. So like at 7:30 at night, I went to Coldwell Banker's office and he showed me how to write a contract so that I can get it to, so I could deliver it to them to get on a contract. So as far as listings go, I was just getting my feet wet with buying. So I stayed away from listings. And I actually told people, I said, no, I'm mostly a buyer's agent, sorry. But then the second year, I didn't really have a choice because, I sold. I did quite a few buys, and talking to many, many more people, listings started coming out. So My second year was pretty similar. I did 9 buyer deals. I had 2 listings that year. 5 of the leads were from the ESR, and then 6 were self-generation. So after the second year, like 2017 was my first year, so I kind of chalked that up to me learning the nuts and bolts of this business. And it dribbled into 2018. But what has happened is around 2018, towards the end of it, 19 and this year, I haven't really took any more leads because of all the calls that I've actually made, because my 2019 production really started taking a spike up. It almost doubled. And it almost split in half as well too, where I had quite a few listings coming from all that as well. And 12 were company leads and 8 were self-gen. So the IMS kept spitting out and producing after all the calls and gateways I set up and emails and text messages, and it's just dropping on with people. So I wanted everyone to get a quick snapshot of what this continues to produce with really limited to no prospecting, and it keeps continuing. I was telling Jeff yesterday, to kick off the next year, I have about close to 3 million in listings that are coming to the market of all these people that have been waiting for the season, for COVID, because the vaccine's coming out. So there's things that are kind of opening up now. But as you see, my 2020 production, not doubled, but it's significantly bigger than my first 2 years, that's for sure. And just to really combine all of that, this is my total career. I've done a little over 15 million in sales. I've done a total of 67 transactions, which I have 3 more that are closing by the end of the year. One's closing as we're speaking, actually. I don't know if you guys have it up there, a lot of offices down here aren't allowing people to go to closings, just the signers, because of COVID. So it's kind of anticlimactic to me, because I usually get a bottle of champagne or a little bit of a gift card for my people. But I've been at the final walkthrough. When they leave the walkthrough, I leave it on the table for them now instead of at the closing table or after. And that was a total of 48 buyer deals. The IMS definitely gets me buyers, and then it's a total of 19 listings. I got so immune working with buyers that I still prefer to work with buyers, but listings are, I mean, this number is going to jump probably to about 25 at the end of January. So, I mean, that's, I didn't want to go on and on about it, but I kind of want to just give a quick snapshot of what I do and how I do. And I'm totally open to any questions, even off on the side. If somebody wants to, if anybody wants to have like a one-on-one to ask me questions, certain things, because there's so many moving parts to this. It's literally impossible to cover in one slideshow. So I hope that's a benefit to people. I like sharing what I did because there's no specific roadmap per person. And like I mentioned in my first video, I've watched hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of threads, videos, threads, Tom Ferry, all those. And what I did notice watching and listening is you'll never be that person. However, you have that person inside of you, and it's custom fit to who you are. And that's something that I mean, it's always good to hear and listen and watch other things, but once you find that inner person, you catch the bug. Actually, for me, using the IMS, I think, I mean, I was telling Jeff, if I left this phone plugged in on my kitchen counter 5, 7, 8 years from now, it's still not going to stop. It's just going to keep going. So I hope that's a benefit to anybody here, or anybody that watches this video, because it's changed my life. It's changed my life. Before this, even though I was in operations management, I was living check to check. It'd get Wednesday, Thursday, and we have to lay off on going out to eat, which we don't do too much anymore, but it's changed my life. So there you have it.
Thanks, Charlie. And I kind of want to hop on something that he said with his first purchase agreement. Charlie and I've known each other, and he called me when it was time to write that first purchase agreement. And I had to be honest with him. I know nothing about real estate in Florida. And I felt bad, but it was just like, I don't know. The fact that he had the initiative to go to the listing agent and write that offer says a ton. And then also what we have up here in Indianapolis, it's unbelievable what we have here. Not only do you have all this support, we have this system. So, I appreciate, and I will tell you that Charlie's genuine. Reach out to him. If you've got questions, reach out to me, reach out to Charlie, but I really appreciate you doing that. And then anybody with any questions, kind of chime in here, let us know. Anybody who's struggling at all with the IMS, if you're getting started with this, I'm here to do the training. Charlie's there to do the training, and it's a powerful system. Even if you're not going to take high garden leads, it's still a powerful system just to keep things organized and just build that foundation to keep yourself on track. So
Yeah.
That's really about all we had today. If anybody has any questions or any, while we've got Charlie here for another, what do we got you, another 10 or 15 minutes, Charlie?
Yeah, that's cool. I did want to just throw it out there just to see if anybody here, if not, that's okay. If anybody here has experienced some similar success from the IMS, I know I'm kind of like not one of the few, but I know everyone doesn't use it as ritually as I do. But has anyone here like starting to see some success or anything like that you could share for the good of the group?
I've been on a couple of showings now and really starting to get some things going. And I will say, Charlie, what you've done for me is, doing our sit downs and you going through and actually really like we've dove into this thing a lot more. I think advanced to where now I've started to set up additional gateways and identified certain leads and kind of prioritize where I put my focus in on people. And it does help. And I encourage, I'm sure hopefully everybody does take these meetings very seriously, which I do. And it helps to be able to know kind of where my areas of opportunities are and what I need to do to make myself better as a salesperson within the system. And I really do believe that, especially after our last meeting, I really kind of understand where I need to put my focus and what I need to do. And like you said, is get on the phone and keep them on the phone and talk to them and try to establish that relationship. And I'm with you, man. You got to get them on the phone. You got to talk to them. That is so critical because I've been doing a lot of text and I get texts back and stuff, but it's not the same as a phone call. It's just not. And
Nah, to me, calling's number one. Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
Thanks, Josh.
of course, no,
Sorry, can I just?
I appreciate everything you do, big time.
Thanks, man. Likewise, man. Likewise.
So,
Mark?
Charlie, can I just quickly question? You say you work the hot leads as well. I was just a little bit confused. I was going through hot leads again this morning, and what constitutes the hot lead? Because I've got clients in that hot lead. They're saying there's a hot leads, but if I when last they were looking at properties, it's like 48 days ago type of thing. So I'm not too sure how that is a hot lead. I mean, I don't know what else qualifies,
Sure.
Yeah, all there,
Yeah.
but I mean, I've got one or two that are still from a little while ago. So what actually qualifies them as a hot lead as such?
Okay. Good question. Great question, Mark. Yeah, well, like I mentioned, sometimes you can't see behind the scenes that they're actually looking at your listings. So to my knowledge, what I know is if somebody has visited your gateway or your website and clicked on more than one property or clicked on one property multiple times, that usually prompts some activity in the background.
Okay.
So even though you can't see that they have, from what I understand, in the background environment, it has identified that there's some kind of activity going on that puts it onto your hot list. So because that's not something that you're going to call somebody and say, hey, I saw that you clicked 14 times on this one property. It just gives you a window that there's somebody doing above normal searching. Let's put it that way.
Because the ones that I normally use is the last visits in like 24 hours and the last visit in 30 days or whatever. So I get in the hot leads than anything else. But,
Charlie, can I chime in?
Yeah, sure, man. What's up, Brett?
Hey, how's it going? Hey, just wanted to let you guys know that that type of thing, there's like Charlie said, there's a lot of stuff in the background, but there is, if you click on that little red hot list icon when you're in the lead detail. It explains why that lead showed up on your hot list. If you're concerned,
Okay.
and there's different reasons. They set up this whole big algorithm, and you, as you all know, they're not always hot leads. You just have to look. If you're curious as to why that lead popped up, if you click that little red icon up there, it'll tell you why it's on your daily hot list.
Good
Okay,
point.
thanks, Rich. Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you.
Yeah, and Charlie, if I can chime in to kind of tag team what Brett said, I will promise you, you are going to have some people that are just addicted to looking at houses and the pictures and they love it.
Oh,
But
yeah.
if you play the odds on that hot list, your conversion rate is through the roof on that hot list. We found it's 15, 20, even 25 times higher conversion if they hit that hot list and you get a hold of them immediately.
Okay.
And you know, I know it can be frustrating. I've got people that literally I've had leads that have been on site every day for a year. And I know they're not going to buy anything, but then I reach out to them anyway, because you just never know, Mark. You really, truly
Yes,
never
sir.
know. And the fact that we have that, I mean, I know it gets frustrating, but please believe us, if you keep, it's like a slot machine, just keep pulling that lever on that hot list.
No, absolutely. Absolutely, Jeff. I mean, I've only been with you guys now 2 months or whatever, and I've already got one of the leads from the IMS that's going to closing in January. So, it's a system that works for sure.
Yep, if used, and consistently used too. You can't just go in there and do it for a month and be like, "Oh, this isn't working."
Nah.
It takes week after week, month after month, and then you start seeing it snowball to a point you don't have to prospect anymore. Everyone still should, but we all have comfort levels, like I mentioned in our business, for how much we want to run around. I like being home 85-90% of the year.
Yeah. Now, if you work at Charlie, I take it yesterday, I was working at quite a bit, and I ended up connecting with 3 people, going to go out and show them houses. So,
After several attempts, like was it several attempts they finally picked up, or was it just like right away?
One was a speed to leads. So that one I got hold
Nice.
of right away. And the other 2 have been hanging around the last couple of days type of thing. So, I finished my calls with them, and eventually I sent texts and emails, and then they started answering the texts. So, it's like a lot of people, they won't answer a call, but they'll definitely answer a text. It is,
Yeah.
people are like that. So, it's just a question, as you say, if you keep on working it, eventually something's going to pop for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's just a question of getting yourself disciplined to be working that IMS all day type of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Especially in the beginning. Oh yeah, for sure. Because when I first got into it, the reason why I did so many phone calls is because no one's certain if they're going to be able to survive in real estate. So that alone scared the crap out of me. So I wanted to survive in it. So I was just relentless with it, and it built my business. It really did. And I encourage anybody and everybody else to do the same thing. It's fascinating, to be honest with you. I still can't believe it when I look at the list of all the closings I've had. I said, how the heck did I get in touch with all these people? Unbelievable. That's the IMS.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, we're good.
You're muted, Jeff. I don't know if you're talking. I see your mouth going, like always. Go ahead.
No, I wanted to thank you again, Charlie, and just see if anybody else had any questions. But I just tell you, Charlie has used this system, and Steve Robbins is on here. If you can chime in, Steve, I think Charlie has probably done the best job of using this system the way it was designed to be used.
Charlie's definitely a shining example of how, if you use it, it's like what Charlie said a minute ago. If you use it, it's going to work. The big question that you have to go into it with is knowing that it's not instant gratification. And if you're willing to be patient, and just like any kind of prospecting and marketing you're doing, whether it's farming a neighborhood, whether it's social media, it's a matter of consistency and patience for it to pay off. Charlie showed you some numbers. We've had plenty of agents here in the Indianapolis market start and really build their business from this. Laura Waters had like 3 closings in her first 9 months with us, had like 43 in the next 12. And most of those were from leads she was working in those first 9 months that didn't pay off until the second year. But to go from 3 to 43, that's pretty amazing. I do, just to piggyback on what Brett was saying, if you click on that flame icon, the red flame icon, it will tell you why it was on the hot list. There's a 13 or 17 different reasons why it could be, but those are the reasons. And to your point, Jeff, what we've found when we've gone back and studied the conversion numbers is that if they end up on the hot list, they're 18 times more likely to convert. So the automation, everything, the algorithm, the AI, everything that our system's doing is just to kind of keep you up front, keep you in the top of mind as much as possible without you having to do the work. But the one thing the system can't do is pick up the phone and call and talk to these people and strengthen their relationship that you have with them over the phone. It's everything's texting, emailing, trying to keep your name in front of them so that you can more easily get to a phone call, more easily get to face. But at some point you got to jump in there. And if Charlie's endorsing 5 to 8 calls per lead, we can tell you that most people are doing 1 or 2, if that, and then kind of just seeing what happens. But the little extra elbow grease of using the phone is the whole point. We'd automate that if we could get people to, we'll design robots or something that pick up the phone and make the calls for you too, if we could, but we can't. And so that's where we really need everybody to jump in there and contribute to, what the system's trying to do to help them.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll add something just because I see questions. I do the training every Friday with people. I hear what people are doing. And plus I've been, brokering for this company since 2004. And I hear the agents, what they're, they call me and they say, look, I'm not having any luck with the IMS. And then I go look at their statistics and they've made 1 call to most of the leads, or 2 calls. And, Charlie can attest that, it takes more than that a lot. And a lot of times you don't reach them after 5 or 6. So what? Let the system do the work in the background for you at that point. And then, but most of the time, if you make the effort on those calls, those are that's what develops your relationships, as Charlie said earlier. So that's it.
Yeah, Jeff, I'll add this. At the end of the day, when you're newer in real estate and you're building your business and you want to get to $3 million a year or $5 million a year or $10 million a year, whatever it is, it all comes down to prospecting and having enough real estate conversations. If you have better places, whether it's open houses, door knocking, networking, whatever it is, if you have better places that you prefer to generate new real estate conversations with new prospects, go for it. In fact, have more than 1 pillar because you need to have that.
Exactly.
But if you put in an hour or 2 a day of this and you do it consistently, you can have 5 or 10 additional real estate conversations with people that were on a real estate website. By the way, not third party like Zillow, not a portal. They're on Easy Street Realty in Florida, High Garden Real Estate in Indianapolis. They're on our website. They gave us their information. I understand sometimes these calls feel like they're cold, but they're not compared to door knocking, calling through the phone book, buying a Vulcan or Red X list. It's warm enough. They gave High Garden or Easy Street their information. It doesn't matter if you have goals to make X number of dollars in this business or sell X million number of homes. How are you getting those real estate conversations? This is just one way that can get you there that much more quickly. Talked about Laura Waters. She sold 40 some homes in her second year. She was using, most of those came from the leads. 4 or 5 years into the business now, maybe 10 or 20% of her business is coming from new leads. And it's really older leads that she's been cultivating for months or years because she's kind of graduated. You get to a point where you've had 100 past clients, 150 past clients, 200 past clients, referrals from the leads or repeat business from the leads. Now that's taking precedent over taking and grinding away with new leads But like building any new business, when you're self-employed and starting your own business, it takes time to build that foundation. This is just additional materials to get that building up and off the ground, and hopefully have yourself a fruitful business that's repeatable and sustainable. We want to help everybody get there that much more quickly. We know working internet leads probably isn't what you grew up dreaming to do, but it is one place to get you where you want to be.
Absolutely. And I would add, without a doubt, multiple spokes, open houses. We're really preaching open houses, but the IMS, this isn't just for high garden leads. Get your open house contacts, get your sphere of influence, get everybody you know into this system because of what's happening behind the scenes. Just a shout out to Chris and Alec and the IT guys. What they're doing behind the scenes here is incredible. And Brett training this and letting everybody know, but the opportunity with this company for the remarketing, the retargeting, what this company's doing it's ahead of the curve as far as a real estate brokerage. Charlie showed us today how to build a foundation with this. It will also grow your business as you just continue to watch with this. I've seen it. I had a listing that just got an accepted offer. And the only reason I told Chris, I thanked Chris Koehrn. The only reason I have that listing is because this system literally put that gentleman on my website. I had the information come out to me and I called him immediately. I would not have known. He might have reached out to me, but it might have taken another 2 or 3 or 4 days. And who knows, some other agent might have knocked on his door. But I basically was the first person that he talked to, met with him, listed his house, and we've sold it. And that's this system. Just the organizational, I'm not the most organized person. Charlie admitted it. I don't reach out to my past sphere, but if you can get them into this system, it will make you money. And once again, thanks, Charlie. We keep thanking you, but it's very kind of you to share your time and your generosity. Reach out to Charlie. He's not saying that. He enjoys helping people. So please reach out to him if you've got questions. Josh is shaking his head. I mean, the people down in Florida know this, but nationwide, I'm sure if you reach out to Charlie, he'll help you with this.
Not a problem at all. I would do it in a heartbeat. I actually like it. Like when people are engaged, that gets me more engaged. I enjoy it. I really, truly do. So it's not taking my time or bothering me, because it could be one little piece of information that changes your life. And I'm glad to share everything and all.
Absolutely. So if nobody else has any questions, we'll probably wrap up. I don't want to keep Charlie all day. He's a busy man. So I don't know, you got to go clean the pool. What do you have to do since it's 80 degrees in Florida?
Nothing. Take this tie off and put flip-flops on and go hang out in the back. That's next.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the tie. You're really kind of scaring me a little bit with the tie.
Yeah, I like wearing a tie sometimes. It makes me feel professional.
Maybe I should. I don't know. I don't think it would work for me.
It wouldn't hurt you. It doesn't hurt.
All right, man. Hey, thanks a lot, everybody.